tried making this video. I fat-fingered the play on TV button, and I can't have you guys knowing what my fucking devices are named. So, here we go, starting over. Also, I found, that, this is Matt Powell making an edit of some dude's video, which he plays a laugh track like 3 minutes in, and that's the only thing up till 3 minutes in, other than this card, that he even interferes with. So it really does seem to me that he's just stealing this guy's video for content, which is really fucking scummy. Like, at least, at least transform the content, you know? At least, put in your own 2 cents. Don't be a dick and put a laugh track over somebody else's video and call it yours.
This is Matt Powell from his YouTube channel, Matt Powell Official. I don't know why he's got an official on the end of it, but
I don't know why he put Mr. Jones in quotes.
there you go. Yes, Matt Powell is a young earth creationist, and he is an unbelievable moron and science-denying half-wit.
Which I agree with. I think it may have been because of, this guy's, YouTube handle, maybe Mr. Jones.
He puts all his faith and trust in the Bible. Anyway, Matt, the floor is all yours.
Google says if you type in "when monkeys surf," feel free to just type that in if you want on your phone. I won't judge you. When monkeys surf, these are the first things that pop up. Now, evolution literally teaches.
Both of those results are from news organizations. Even though National Geographic is a lot more credible than BBC, he's using the headlines. And headlines are known for being hyperbolic. He's about to mention part of the actual article, which shows that we're not talking about surfing, we're talking about building rafts and sailing.
Monkeys, they had to get to South America somehow because they found fossils over there. So the only way that monkeys could have gotten to the United States from Africa was surfing.
There are a couple ways. Surfing is not the only way, and building rafts is not the only way. There was a land bridge when the water was, or when the ocean's sea level was a lot lower, where any animals could have traveled across said land bridge to get to the Americas, and the animals we're talking about right now could have simply been in the Americas since the split. We're also talking about 40 million years ago, and surfing that gap would definitely have been a lot less strenuous. Let's see. Map of the world. 40 million years ago. See? Much, much closer. And you see that gap? That gap would be a lot easier to sail between than what we have now. Oh wait, Eurocene. When was the Eurocene? What time period was 40 million years ago? Eocene. Within the Eocene epoch. Eocene world map. Yeah. This one, definitely, they definitely could have sailed between there. It would have taken some effort, and a great many of them probably would have died there. I watched this one. It was hilarious. I was trying to make this video a twofer. It did not end up that way.
The monkeys that sailed across the Atlantic to South America, BBC. Monkeys suddenly appeared in South America about 40 million years ago. Unlikely though it may seem, they probably sailed there from Africa.
I also really don't like the word suddenly in this instance, because it definitely wasn't sudden. It would have taken multiple generations for primates to actually spread across the continent. It would have taken tens of generations, maybe even hundreds.
Prehistoric monkeys traveled 900 miles between continents on rafts.
You know, surfing monkeys, surfing dinosaurs, it's perfectly plausible.
Monkeys who sailed 900
Yeah, there's the laugh track. Oh, it wasn't 3 minutes in, it was 1 minute.
miles across the Atlantic. Intrepid monkeys, according to scientists, made an improbable sea voyage from Africa to South America on a raft.
Once again, in that time, there was much, much less sea in between those two continents.
Picture it, on a raft 34 million years ago. They're saying that the only way they could have got there is climbing on a little raft.
They also find that dinosaurs crossed the ocean. This is what evolution teaches. This is new stuff. They always tell me, Matt, stop making arguments from the creationists from the 90s. Well, those are great arguments that they made. But these are from 2020. This is from 2020.
Yeah, and you have done absolutely nothing to debunk that other than other than basically essentially doing the adult equivalent of repeating it back in a super high-pitched voice. You have not done anything to disprove this.
They just released this. Because Africa was isolated by the deep oceans at that time, duck-billed dinosaurs must have crossed.
For fuck's sake, please stop adding me. I'm doing a video. Oh, people from my guild.
Hundreds of kilometers of open water, rafting on debris.
Okay, and notice how this has gone from surfing to getting there on rafts to simply floating all the way there on debris. So I want you to understand how this has gone from impossible to entirely probable for primates to completely possible for literally any animal.
According to evolution theory, they surfed there.
Why are you sitting in the middle of a field in winter? That can't be comfortable in a fucking suit, dude.
The article literally says that the duck-billed dinosaurs must have crossed hundreds of miles of open water.
Guys, I wonder if that's what evolution actually says. All I had to do was a simple Google search, and this was the very first thing that came up. Dinosaurs.
I love how he goes raging Like, no, this guy's annoyed because you're spouting bullshit.
Once crossed oceans. First duck-billed dinosaur fossil discovered in Africa. You know, Matt's right about that.
This is what they're saying, but they want to tell you that God's word is inferior. They want to tell you, oh, the Bible just doesn't have the answers.
People like Matt Powell really piss me off. The fact that he's going around and
Oh, so this... What the fuck is this guy doing? This video has been like a fucking fever dream. Oh! Oh, this is recap of 2021. Oh, I look like a fucking moron. Okay, yeah, I don't pay attention super well. Whoops. Anyways, still a super dumb argument.
claiming that he's trying to rid the world of all these lies really irritates me. He dumbs it all down to make it sound stupid to his audience, because it's a lot easier if you make something sound stupid to convince him it's wrong.
Straw man argument. It is what Matt Powell does all the time. It may even be his specialty. I wasn't saying this guy is using a straw man argument. I'm saying he is describing what a straw man argument is. And yeah, I 100% agree.
Or it's flawed.
Beards can really take a hit. University of Utah researchers discovered human beards evolved to absorb punches to the head and jaw.
And my beard grow a little more. Research shows that flowing facial hair might have evolved to help fight hungry humans better absorb blows to the head.
So what evolution teaches us is that when we were primates, we fought so much and so hard and hit each other in the jaw that our jaw had to create a cushion in our face.
Okay, yeah, that's not at all what that says. It's when hunting, humans were getting bashed around so much, and humans that had no facial hair were more likely to get more serious injuries on their face, which could have been fatal during that time. And so the humans with like more facial hair were able to survive better, because that facial hair was able to more evenly distribute that blow. It's not necessarily people fighting each other, but people receiving injuries to their face in general, which could have easily happened hunting.
Folks, that is weird, okay? That's not just unscientific, okay? That is weird.
How? You explaining something in a super dumbed down and completely inaccurate way is not a reason to think that it's unscientific. Just because you do not understand the science does not mean it is unscientific.
A male's got the caveman comes by. Fortunately, no humans were slugged in the name of science.
Why not? Yeah, this isn't science. You gotta put it to the test.
I mean, real life experiment.
Hey, well, put it to the test.
And my beard grow a little more.
I don't know why he's giving these guys so much screen time.
Did that hurt? Nope, got a beard.
They teach that dinosaurs devolved into chickens. Yes, science has compelling evidence that dinosaurs...
Devolved is not a scientific term. They evolved into birds. The dinosaurs that had already developed, is it warm blood or cool blood? I think it's warm blood. The dinosaurs that had already evolved warm blood and feathers went on to become birds. And, of course, chickens, as an offshoot from that, I want to use the correct terminology here. I'm not sure... They evolved. They're an offshoot of that taxon, I think. I believe taxon is the correct word for any point on that hierarchy, I believe. Go watch Forrest Valkai's series, The Light of Evolution. That I never watched it, but I got bits and pieces that he explained in Reacteria. Honestly, go watch Reacteria too. It's fucking great.
Evolved into chickens. Now, folks, if it's survival of the fittest, only the strongest survive in evolution theory.
Yeah, that's not what survival of the fittest refers to at all. It's not survival of the mightiest. It's survival of the best suited to their niche, right? So chickens, presumably, evolved to be very good at, honestly, just picking out grains and running away from predators. Because that's their niche. And later on, they ended up being able to survive by simply being picked up by humans and being domesticated.
Which one is stronger?
Pretty much their niche became being delicious.
They say, well, if you have 100 or 1,000 chickens, I'm sorry, they're not going to win against their great-great-great-great-grand.
Once again, it's not about a fucking death battle in a fucking coliseum. That's not how evolution works. Oh, fuck. That's not how survival of the fittest works either.
Father. They went from the largest creature that could eat you down to my favorite lunch at KFC.
Because it was a perfect dinosaur skeleton that just had feathers on it. And now we know that there are a host of dinosaurs that were completely feathered, including Velociraptor. I'm sure you've heard of Velociraptor, right? Did you know they were fully plumed? Fully plumed, covered in feathers.
Like I said, if you're an evolutionist and you want to find dinosaurs, you could find living ones today.
Technically, we are living dinosaurs today. It's not like humans were living up like with dinosaurs. That's not how that works. Our ancestors that were not humans lived alongside dinosaurs, and I think one of our ancestors was a dinosaur. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure one of the past species that is our ancestors, I believe one of them were categorized as dinosaurs, or are categorized as dinosaurs.
Here in my hand, I actually hold proof of evolution.
Yeah, you do. Every living being on this planet, from bugs to fish to trees to humans, are all proof of evolution.
Want to hear about dinosaurs?
Do I ever not want to hear about dinosaurs?
Turns out that, so this is a new report from British scientists, and they said that...
I have absolutely no idea why the sound quality is absolute shit. I'm sorry. It should not be. I don't know what the fuck is happening.
Basically, the dinosaurs, they also warmed the planet, thanks to all the gas that they emitted from eating all the leafy plants. And in all, they emitted a total of 520 million tons.
Did this guy just really fuck up in his fucking edit of this video? Because, like, I was using these earbuds with my phone earlier, and the sound quality was infinitely better.
Tons per year of global methane, which is, they say, the level comparable to the total given off today by animals and industrial activity. So they farted their way to extinction.
They literally teach that dinosaurs farted themselves to death.
Yeah, that's once again using hyperbole as the actual thesis, which is just dishonest. That's not at all how that went down. It was the fact that the dinosaurs produced so much waste and therefore so much ammonia that it was actually destroying the environment.
And then one guy says, well, Matt, you have misrepresented us. We believe that they...
Yeah, because you are misrepresenting everything.
They tooted and it warmed the environment.
Dude, you can't just use a straw man and then act as if we are crazy for saying that you are not representing the facts properly. You literally just said they tooted and then the temperatures rose. Like, yeah, in essence, if you really boil it down to an infinitely small point, technically that's not untrue. But you've put it in this preschooler-esque way of, like I said before, it's literally just the adult equivalent of a kid on a playground replying to a rational argument by just repeating it back in a super high-pitched voice. And it's honestly just super dishonest.
That sounds even more stupid. And that's why they died.
It sounds stupid because you put it a stupid way, dumbass.
They died from the global warming.
And here's literally just more childish behavior. I'm gonna skip this. I'm gonna actually explain it because Matt Powell does not. What actually happened was that like I said before, I'm gonna elaborate a little bit. The dinosaurs were so physically massive, and they were eating prey that is so physically massive, that they produce so much excrement that it was decomposing, turning into greenhouse gases, and literally pressure cooking the entire world.
Did fart themselves into extinction. All their greenhouse gases cause climate change, which cause...
Why does she look like she's got, like, fucking Rona? Why does she look like she's the sickest she's ever been?
An ice age, and they all froze to death.
And this stuff is just crazy, but this is the crowd that wants to tell you not to keep your purity. They think that they have the advice for life. They don't have the advice.
Yeah, that's completely irrelevant. It's just more of Matt Powell lumping together literally every group that disagrees with him and acting as if they're all the same group, which is just untrue.
For life. Just last month, a rock fell from the sky, and they said, there's the answer. It has the ingredients for life. There's the answer. That's
what they said was there was literally a meteorite that had the components that were on this planet that did cause life. They're saying that there was a meteorite that literally had the base chemicals needed for abiogenesis. That's all that was said. Once again, using headlines which are known for being hyperbolic. Using headlines as the thesis. It's not true.
That's lazy science. A rock falls from the sky.
You know what's lazy, Matt Powell? Is just taking fucking headlines and acting like it's our argument. That's fucking lazy.
On somebody's driveway, and they say, well, it contained the ingredients though, Matt. Okay, big deal. I could put a frog in a blender, blend it up. That is all the ingredients for life. But I don't expect...
What the fuck is that argument? Genuinely, what the fuck is that argument? That means nothing, and it has absolutely nothing to do with the matter at hand. What the fuck is that argument? The reason why this is impressive is because it's in space, where there isn't life, Matt Powell. Of course, if you take a fully formed living being, put it in a blender, of course there's going to be the ingredients for life in the blender, because you took all of the ingredients in one place and fucking put it there. What the fuck is that argument, dude?
Expect the frog to put itself back together and start hopping around again.
So today... No! That is absolutely not what we're talking about. You're not gonna just blend up a frog and then somehow reassemble it into the same frog. That's not what anybody is saying is possible.
It's going to be another first for the response list. Today, we're going to...
Okay, you know what? I don't want to leave it like that. I'm going to actually explain. So, the actual molecules that are needed for life, only a couple of the possible molecules that are needed for life were actually used, were actually the ones that formed into life on this planet. There are a bunch, and literally just a few of them, in any of them, just a few out of the group of them, can easily come together on their own, given the right conditions, right? They can come together on their own, fully assemble on their own, to create the most basic form of life, and that is simply RNA with a cell membrane around it, right? And then basically that's what the start of life looks like. And basically the RNA basically like aligns those basic resources up with itself, and then it splits into two. And basically the way that becomes different kinds of cells is a mistake in copying that RNA, and boom, you have evolution.
I'm going to be responding to a 22-year-old pastor named Matt Powell. There is no logic at all into believing that one day God just decided to poof us into existence.
This one atheist responded to me recently. He's like, there's no logic at all into believing that one day God just magically poofed us into existence. Isn't that what the Big Bang teaches?
No! Once again, you are conflating scientific theories. You have conflated the Big Bang, abiogenesis, and evolution. They are all completely different things. We don't know what caused the Big Bang. And that's okay. Saying, I don't know, is better than going, I don't know, therefore it must be God. It's not a logical conclusion. Big Bang happened. We don't know why it happened, but it happened. Abiogenesis happens on its own. We've seen all of these molecules form on their own. We've seen them come together on their own. It is literally in the nature of these molecules to come together on their own to create life. I'm sorry you don't believe that. It doesn't mean it isn't true.
It was a poof. So let me ask you, because they say, well, you Christians believe in magic. Okay, what's magical? Somebody creating the universe, or matter and energy creating itself from nothing?
Once again, a fundamental misunderstanding of how the Big Bang works. And a fundamental misunderstanding of the many different ways that this could have worked. First off, what I personally think happened is matter and energy have existed since the beginning of the universe. It wasn't created, it just was there since the inception of the universe. I want to make that clear. There is no creating it from nothing here. I believe, or I think, I don't want to use the word believe, I think, given the evidence, that all of the matter and energy in this universe was simply all collected in the singularity, and then the singularity exploded, right, which was the Big Bang, and all that matter and energy was strewn all over the place. The matter and energy have been here since before time existed. They were never created.
Funny, you said earlier they can't think for themselves. Buddy, you are 22 years old. Buddy, if there's anyone that doesn't think for themselves, I would say that it's freaking you.
If we evolved from monkeys...
Which is a good point. He says we don't think for ourselves, but you're not thinking for yourself, Matt Powell. All of your ideas come from a fucking, what was it described as? A Bronze Age horror anthology.
Why are there still monkeys? Well, because we're not monkeys. We're fish. Now, knowing you're a...
I absolutely hate that explanation. No. I don't know who the fuck this guy is. He did absolutely nothing just now to, quell that question. And mind you, that question stems from simply a basic misunderstanding of how evolution works. We are not we are not monkeys. We are in the family of great apes, and we share a common ancestor with monkeys. Monkeys is a really weird, it's not a scientific word to use here. We share the same common ancestor as gorillas and chimpanzees and literally everything else on this planet, but we just so happen to share a very recent common ancestor with, the rest of the family of great apes.
Fish, and not a monkey, is actually really important to understanding where we came from.
People that take and consider this. They don't think about what they're even being told, that they evolved from a sponge, or that we all evolved from literal jellyfish. That's what evolution teaches, is that we...
Yeah, once again, this is just a fundamental misunderstanding of how evolution works and how our classifications work.
We evolved from jellyfish. I always like to ask people, do you think that...
Once again, using headlines and putting them on a pedestal as if they are our thesis, which is fucking bullshit.
Your ancient ancestor was a fish? You know, it's like the incredible Mr. Limpet 2.0. I wish I were a fish. Well, according to them, we were fish millions of years ago.
Many of us were taught.
No, our ancestors were fish. Our ancestors were beings that resembled jellyfish.
Evolution wrong. You and I are fish. One fish lineage came onto land.
I fucking hate this dude now because he is just... Like, I know that Matt Powell is probably taking his TED Talk out of context, but that opener was just so fucking bad. Also, this is, I believe it was called the March of Progress. This is bad for the same reason the March of Progress was. It simplifies it to the point of it being inaccurate.
And gave rise to, among other things, the mammals and reptiles. Perhaps it's better still to think of us as a little fish out of water.
Say it with me, folks. If you've stayed around this long, you've heard me say it. Or you probably have. You might be watching through this video as your first time watching this video. If you have, if you enjoy my content, please subscribe and like the video. But say it with me, folks. Scripture is not valid evidence. Never has been, never will be, unless you prove all of the Bible to be true without a shadow of a doubt. You would need to prove literally all of the Bible true before you could use all of it as evidence for something else.
Evolutionists claim it says...
I love that, though. I love that verse. Because it's perfectly indicative of Matt Powell in Answers in Genesis. Perfectly indicative. Perfectly.
Evolutionists claim it says one plausible explanation, in our view, is that the genes are likely new extraterrestrial imports to Earth.
What? What the fuck is this dude on? That must be a really big misunderstanding, or he must be quoting a conspiracy theorist.
These scientists declare that, quote, the squid eggs hitched a ride to Earth on the back of asteroids. That is what evolution teaches, folks.
Please, for the love of God, cite your source so I know whether this was just you being full of shit, or if you're actually using a conspiracy theorist and calling them a scientist.
I am not kidding. I was in an interview with a friend of mine he's an actual creation scientist. Now, him and I don't see eye to eye on everything, but he brought this up and I thought he was joking with me. I said, are you serious? We cut for a moment. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. This is what they teach? He said, yeah, it's what they teach. I looked it up. Sure enough, evolution teaches that they hitched a ride on the back of asteroids.
Please, for the love of God, cite your source. Please.
Doesn't that sound fun? And they don't get along anyways. Squids and octopuses are constantly fighting each other, so I don't know how they...
What? What the fuck? Where did you get octopuses from? Said squid eggs hitched a ride on asteroids. But that's crazy because squids and octopuses hate each other. What the fuck is that argument, dude? Oh my god. He says so much bullshit in so many outlandish things. It's hard to keep my videos short.
They made it here to begin with. But of course they were eggs, and the article goes on to say that they were, they were fertilized. They don't know how, but they were fertilized so that they could hatch when they hit the water.
Cite your fucking source, dude! No, he went, and his whole evidence for this is what they actually teach is a totally real story that he totally didn't just make up, that he totally didn't misunderstand literally everything, and we're just supposed to take it at face value, pretty much. What the fuck?
Do you really believe that something came from nothing?
Yes.
Because there are laws, such as gravity, the universe can, and will, create itself from nothing.
They always accuse us Christians. They say, well...
This is... Oh, for fuck's sake. You should not be talking about quantum physics and be trying to disprove quantum physics. I guarantee you do not understand it enough to actually even start on trying that.
Well, that book you've got right there, that's magic. That's a magic book. No, you know what?
It is literally said in the Bible that God created Adam from dust. That he breathed life into dust. And that's what Adam was. It is literally said that Eve was created from the rib of Adam. That is magic, dude. No ifs, ands, or buts. Just because you do not understand the mechanisms of quantum physics does not mean that it is magic. The issue here is that your Bible gives no mechanism. It just goes, this is how it happened. Quantum physicists are actually actively figuring out the mechanisms of how the universe works, and they found that nothing, right, can be made into space filled with nothing. That is essentially what that means. Nothing can be made into vacuum. That is quantum physics, dude. Even I don't understand it.
It's magical, saying that the universe came from nothing. What's magical, folks? God creating the universe, or time, space, and matter poofing into...
Once again, you have not shown the competency to actually debunk regular science. Do not even try to get into quantum physics. Why don't you try with regular physics first, and see if you can actually make a cohesive argument first, before you even start on quantum physics.
Existence from nothing. What if I said a giant boulder popped into existence right in the middle of this auditorium?
Alright, looks like this is the end. Like I said earlier, if you like my content, like and subscribe. This is the end. Sorry, you're gonna have to look for something else to take up your time. If you made it this far, congrats. Most of my viewers do not make it this far. Baba Booey, I guess.